Let's try to do this as much interactive as possible, okay? Don't let me here speaking all by myself because I'm Brazilian and I speak a lot. Yeah. So, first, as I said, I come from Brazil. I moved to the Netherlands around 4 years ago with my family. I'm a software engineer, DevOps engineer, cloud engineer. I don't know, there's many names for many things today. It's difficult to say. But I worked most of my career in Brazil in a bank. So I went from COBOL to AWS, with migrating stuff, creating new stuff. So I think it's a nice experience. I like to contribute to the community a lot. So I try to write as much as possible. I try to share knowledge and be in the events as much as possible. So you can find me in the LinkedIn, X most in Portuguese, but that's fine as well. And in Medium, some posts. And when I'm not with my family and working, I'm doing karate. I know that I'm not the shape of karate guy, but I do it, I promise. I have a picture to prove it. But the title of the presentation actually is a bait, right? DevOps, why are you keeping mess up? But do you think that we mess up with DevOps? Okay, now's the part that you say yes or no. Yeah, that's the point. We have different opinions, and that's good. But in Brazil, and when I arrived here, I worked in a consultancy company, and as a lead DevOps there, I worked in the consultancy company directly with 2 companies, but as a lead, I also need to help the other DevOps engineers. And I saw in the companies developer like this. So if, I don't know if the picture is okay, but you have a developer crying. So if the developer is crying here, you're probably messing up with the DevOps, right? Because developers should be happy. And currently I'm working in a developer experience team. And we don't do developer experience because we are nice, because we care developers. Yes, of course, we care for the developers, but developer experience brings benefits to the company, benefits to the product. So it's not only because we care about the developers. But if you also see lack of collaboration between teams, if you see that teams, instead of speaking, talking, they just fire tickets to each other, yeah? If you see this, it's possible that we are messing up with DevOps. If you see not a blameless, but a blameful culture, that people actually are more interested in defining who is the problem is than solving the problem. And unfortunately, I see this more than I would like. Yeah, we are messing up with DevOps. If your metrics are not improving, yeah, DevOps is about culture, is about continuous development. If your metrics are not improving, you probably are messing up with DevOps. And if now you just asked yourself, metrics? Which metrics? Then you definitely are messing up with DevOps. And I believe that a lot of companies that mess up with DevOps in particular ways or in different ways. And the idea for this presentation came when I was presenting about AWS CDK, to how developers can have a better infrastructure as a code management with a better feedback loop. And I had one question. By the way, this presentation is about 3 real scenarios that I have been into. So the first one is a person comes to me after my presentation, and the first sentence, he said, Daniel, you are crazy. I expect people to come to me after the presentation and say, I don't agree with you, that's okay, or I agree with you because of this, that's also okay. But when someone comes to you and say, you are crazy, yeah, it's a really weird. And I asked, but why? And then, because I would never allow the developers to do that. It is a scenario. So I was presenting about AWS CDK and how we can use to deploy infrastructure in different ways with some benefits of feedback loop. And I said, okay, but why? Because they need to use my tools. Then I have a control environment, then I don't have incidents and problems. Yeah, that's true. And I like to make analogies to understand the problems. So who here have kids? Okay, good. I have 2. My are 9 and 12 years old. But if you have kids and they are in 2 years old or more, you are really happy when they start crawling and walking because they start exploring, they start development. And then 2 weeks later, you're, no, they don't stop, please, because they really don't stop. Yeah? Once they start, they try to explore and to understand the environment. And here in the Netherlands doesn't happen so much, but yeah, actually here it happens. Because in Brazil, all plugs are really close to the ground. And as soon as a baby understands what is a wall, he will use it to climb and to stand. And as soon as the baby finds this stuff, they will do whatever they want, whatever they can to put their fingers or something on it. That's it. So how can we solve the problem? Handcuffs. Yeah? We are solving the problem, or not? Yes, we are. Yeah, I think this is the important thing. We are solving the problem of the babies putting the finger on the plugs. But is this the problem? Actually, the problem is I want my kids, my babies, to develop safe. I don't want them to hurt themselves, but I want them to keep developing. And with handcuffs, I will stop them to put the fingers there. But I will also stop them to development. I will stop them exploring. So this is the thing. Who knows it? The Golden Simon, from Simon Sinek, I think, the name of the person that brought this idea. This methodology is used by CEOs, leaders, to design an idea and to communicate an idea. You need to know why, how, and what. Why? Most of people don't know. And that's the big problem. How they do, it's less strategical and more operational. Yeah, most of people know. And what? That's what we deliver. Yes, everyone usually knows. And I would like to bring the DevOps to this concept and try to understand a little bit more. DevOps is a really difficult thing to define because if you go to different companies, different person, different roles, DevOps actually can be a mess. But in AWS website, I found a really interesting one that I use it. DevOps is the combination of cultural philosophies, practice, and tools that increases the organization's ability to deliver applications and services at high velocity, evolving and improving products at a faster pace than organizations using traditional software development and infrastructure management process. This speed enables organizations to better serve their customers and compete more effectively in the market. It's a nice definition. If you, from this sentence, you need to pick up the why we do DevOps. Do you have an idea? Sorry? Last sentence, exactly. So we actually do DevOps to better serve their customers and compete more effectively in the market. It's not we have the contribution, the wall, etc. That's true. But that's not the why. So if you are doing something on DevOps part that does not have this purpose for somewhere else, you might mislead your project. So this is the first thing, the why. The how, culture, philosophies, practices, and tools. Now, this is most people usually think about DevOps. Eh? And what DevOps delivers? Oops, not correct, yeah. The organization ability to deliver applications and services at high velocity. Yeah? So this would be the why, how, and what. But the problem is, people usually forget about why. They usually forget. They do DevOps because people say that DevOps is good. Other companies have good examples on DevOps, how they apply DevOps, so I should apply DevOps as well. So people forget about the why. But some people also forget about what. They forget what is the result of DevOps. That's actually deliver applications at a high pace in a reliable way. And most unfortunately yet, people also forget about the how, and they focus on the tools. This is the most problematic thing on DevOps. We don't have the why, we don't have the what we're going to deliver, and we say, okay, DevOps is about tooling. And then we mess up everything, because then we make developers suffer with new tools without any particular reason. And we need to make sure that when we build a tool, we should build a freeway. That's good, right? Freeway lets me, I live in Eindhoven, by the way. I came by train, but I pretend I came by car. I have a freeway here, it's good, brings me to Eindhoven to here, that's nice. But if I want to come from this side to the other side, sometimes I'll take half an hour just to take this part. And that's okay, because the freeway should be a tool that will serve for 80% of the case. But I cannot build or enforce my developers to use this tool. They need to use this tool because it's nice, because it's cool. I should enforce security. I should enforce good practice. That's okay. But this will lack creativity. This will lack innovation if I enforce people. So people should use my tool because they're good, because they actually work. And they serve to the why purpose. They serve to the purpose. That's delivering, that makes my company effective in the market and be competitive in the market, yeah, and best serve my clients. So we need to pay attention on that. So when the guy said, yeah, I want developers only use my tool. Yeah, but then build tools that actually serve to the purpose. And this actually brings me to the second use case. That's really a sentence that I hear a lot when I start to talk about DevOps. We need to reduce the cognitive load of the developers. Who already heard this? Yeah? Who already spoke this? Who already speak this? If someone speak, I did, yeah? Indeed? Yes, because we need. Developers should focus as much as possible on delivering business values. That's true. But we need to know the problem before tackling it. Reducing developers' cognitive load can be really different from a supermarket perspective, that I work from Jumbo, and then Booking.com perspective. That's a mostly technology company. Things can be different. So we need to understand the problem. And now the thing, who can define for me what is a problem? Because we talk about problems every day, but what is a problem? Just a bibs, no?
Something that in the end would bring business value?
Or this is a solution, maybe.
This is an obstacle that sits in the way to deliver the solution.
Yeah, that's a good one, but if we rephrase a little bit what you said, I really like this one. A problem exists when there is a gap between the reality and the desired state. Really common one. 12 o'clock. I'm hungry. My current state. My desired state. Not being hungry. Then I have a problem. But sometimes I need to do blood tests. And my desired state, unfortunately, is still be hungry because I need to do fasting. Fasting, I think it's in English words, right? I need to fast. So my desired state is being hungry, is fast. So I don't have a problem. Although I'm still hungry. So this is really important to understand. Because how do we know if there is a problem if you don't know the reality and the desired state? And then we come about metrics. We need to know where we are to know to where we want to go. If you don't know both situations, how can I be sure that I have a problem? And if I'm not sure that I have a problem, how can I find a solution for something I'm not sure? So see, this presentation is not, actually doesn't bring anything new or technical, but it's to have this, I'm looking to particular people and say they are thinking about it. That's because that's it. Most of the times, I would say, we don't know where we are and we don't know where we want to be. So how we can solve a problem? Metrics are an amazing way to do that. And we have Dora metrics. They show me where we are. And then, based on where we are, I say, okay, where I want to be. If I want to be where I am, that's fine. I don't have a problem. I'll focus on something else. Also, the agile metrics, lead time, waiting times, and other many metrics. And please collaborate with people. We don't do DevOps sitting in our PC, in our laptop, alone by ourselves. No. Get feedbacks with your clients, with your users. Yeah? If you are a DevOps team or a platform team, get feedback with them. And maybe, I think SRE, maybe SRE also, everything that I'm saying applies to SRE as well. Talk to them, get feedback. Otherwise, you don't know where you are, and you don't know where you're going to be. And if you don't know where you are and where you're going to be, you think that you will be building a freeway, a highway. But actually, you might be building a moody, rocky, difficult way. That is not going to help your developers, that's not going to help the company, but you are building anyway, because you need to build something. Yeah? That leads me to the third case. All we need are logs. This is the second time I do this presentation. Please, did anyone get the reference? Or am I too old? Beatles, all we need is love, all we need... Yes, thank you, one person. Yeah, I was, all we need is log, maybe it would be more obvious, but I don't know if it would be grammar correctly. This case is very interesting. One of the companies really that I worked for, really in the old times, decided, okay, we need to have a logging tool. And on that time, they decided to go for one company. They closed the deal with that company, and they paid annually an amount of money for them, for logging, for store logging. Then they decided, okay, now we need metrics and traces. But that company on that time didn't offer that service. Okay, so let's hire another one. Then these companies stayed with two monitoring tools that in the end do both because tools evolve. And then decide, okay, that's not good. I have logs on one tool, metrics is another tool. When I need to correlate them, it's a mess. Let's move everything to one specific tool. Let's migrate. Good. We start migration. We said, okay, this is the deadline. Please, all developers change your code if you're having it on code, or we ask it for the Kubernetes platform team. Hey, please change your Kubernetes to forward everything to the new logging system. That's fine. And then we got really scared because we are receiving so many logs that if we keep like this, the cost will be, it wouldn't be affordable. Then we need to chase team by team and say, hey, why are you sending Spring Boot headers? Who knows here Java? The Spring Boot header, every time that you start a Spring Boot application, it shows a fancy header, Spring Boot, in the ASCII art. ASCII art is something that still exists. In my time, I tried to do something when I was a teenager a long time ago. Well, by the way, so I started seeing a lot of things on that. And each line of the ASCII art was a line in the logs. We started seeing tracing. We started seeing debugging. We started seeing a lot of stuff. Then we chased it, every team, and we could reduce the logs, I think, by 20%. Everything, 80% was gone. And then we saw, okay, so we stayed with the old tool for years, paying an amount of money. Let's see the time. Paying a big chunk of money, but actually, we don't need it. And this is the last slide, by the way. I'm hurrying up because I know that we are from the time. We're below the time, but DevOps is not a sprint. It's a journey. DevOps is about continuous improvement. I can't implement an idea, tool, process, and never look back. I need to evaluate. I need to check what's my current state. My current state is this. What's my desired state? Maybe my desired state can change. Maybe my current state change. We're modeling. So we need to have this we need to have this feedback. And with this feedback, take a look. We can't just implement a process, implement a tool, and say, yeah, okay, that's fine, let's go for another one. That's not how it should work. So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation.